What's up guys, this is Android at Night and this is my review of the Samsung Galaxy S2, and this is actually sort of a 2 or 3 week in review. I've had the device, I've used it as my personal phone for 2 or 3 weeks now, so I think I'm well placed to actually review this thing and tell you what it's like if you're going to buy this and live with it. So the first thing we're going to have a quick look at is TouchWiz 4.0, and I historically really do not like TouchWiz. I used a Galaxy S beforehand, and TouchWiz was pretty much unbearable on that. And I'm not going to say I like TouchWiz now, but it's much better. It's been much improved. It's much quicker, and there's just lots more sort of 3D integration where everything sort of comes on screen in quite a nice way, and everything just seems that little bit more sort of fluid, and that little bit quicker, and everything seems to actually work just that bit better. But I still wouldn't use this as my everyday launcher, which is why for the rest of the review I'm going to be using ADW launcher, because this is the one I use day to day, and this is a review of sort of a day-to-day type use of the phone. But coming from a Galaxy S myself, I have to say this is a big step up from the Galaxy S in terms of hardware feel. It's still ridiculously light. This is very light. It's even lighter than the original, and because of the size it really becomes apparent in your hand. In terms of thinness, this is probably the thinnest phone you can get right now unless you go to Asia. So sort of no qualms there. It's really thin, and that's really nice. The back cover is ridiculously thin and very plasticky. Keep the device with this very slim profile. On the back you've got an 8 megapixel camera, which is absolutely outstanding, both in stills and with the HD video recording. And you've got a single LED flash, which serves its purpose very nicely, and I've sort of seen little difference between this and something like the Desire HD where it has 2. The front-facing camera is 1.3 megapixel, and it is actually quite nice. I'll put some stills from it, and it actually performs better than 3 megapixel cameras that I've seen on some previous phones, and also for video calling the quality is very acceptable. Battery life on this, I've been getting around 10 hours. With sort of moderate use, and my moderate use is quite hard use. For example, I went into Oxford for the day, bit of GPS, email, Twitter, like a little bit of gaming, bit of internet browsing, lasted me about 10.5 hours. So I think for everyday use, which is what I would class that day as, you're going to be getting about 10 hours. The screen, which is Super AMOLED Plus, is really nice. It's 4.3 inches, so that's a third of an inch diagonally bigger than the original Galaxy S screen, and it hasn't actually got a bigger resolution. It's the same, but due to the ditching of the pentile matrix thing, it appears to be much higher resolution. So things with text, everything renders and just looks that bit sharper than on the Galaxy S. So that's nice. And the Galaxy S2 AMOLED screen, or Super AMOLED screen I should say, it appears to be much nicer for colour representation. Like, there's a much greater depth of black. If you can imagine, if you've seen a Galaxy S, you know the depth of black is really good. This seems even greater, and colours just seem to pop that bit more. But saying that, I don't think it's quite as bright on whites as the original Galaxy S screen, or something like the Nova display on some of the LG phones. But it's a very nice display, very crisp, very clean. And I really do love the colour, sort of the depth of colour, which this camera isn't really picking up. The browser on this is really quick, and things like pinch to zoom are really fluid with the Exynos processor. And there's also the new motion things, so if you double tap and tilt, you can also zoom in, which is kind of cool. But internet browsing on this is really good. You can flip between panels like that just by squeezing, and I've had no problems with this having sort of 3 or 4 panels open at the same time. Just let that load up, and you can flip between each one and multitask really nicely in the browser. And again, if you're into hacking and things, there's loads of alternative browsers, but this as a stock Android browser is one of the better iterations of the stock browser that I've seen on an Android phone. As far as everyday speeds go, sort of when you're whipping through the phone, everything's really fluid. I've had little if any lag. I am rooted currently, which is the thing I do like about it. It's a very rootable phone with the unlocked bootloader, but I haven't got anything that's going to speed this up significantly, and you can see that everything, even if you do stay stock, is fluid and just really nice. 1.2 GHz Exynos chip. It's supposed to be very good at GPU, and it is really good. I've had no lag in any applications. You can see the amount of applications I've used. Everything runs really nicely, and with the recent edition of Chainfire, which again is a rooted application, it actually allows you to play Tegra games, so you're not limited by the choice of phones. If you want to play the Tegra games, you can buy this, and if you're prepared to do routing and a tiny bit of hacking, you can actually play Tegra 2 games, which I think is a testament to this processor, because they're not made for it, but it runs them just as well, if not better, than the actual Tegra phones. The built-in hubs that come with the device, the Games Hub just basically has a load of social games and a load of Game Loft demos, and I haven't really found any of the hubs to be particularly useful because I use separate applications for them all. For example, the social hub, if I can find it, sort of aggregates everything into one place, whereas I would much rather have my email, my text, my Facebook, my Twitter. I'd rather have all that separate. But that being said, it does work, just like on the Galaxy S, and being Samsung, everything does work, even if it's not particularly to my liking, or perhaps you do like that. I mean, I know some people do like that feature. Another hub is the Music Hub, which, as you can see, I don't really use. But basically, it comes with 7 digital support, which is kind of like the Amazon MP3 store, sort of an iTunes type deal, where you can buy music, store it on your device, you can stream it, as well as playing it off your SD card, and purchasing it through the application. So that's quite a nice iTunes equivalent, but again, I use things like Spotify. I don't really go for buying the music, having it. I prefer to use sort of a subscription streaming service, but again, that is that is personal preference, and it's nice that Samsung included it. The final hub is the Readers Hub, which again, it's quite nice. I don't use it personally because again, I use Kindle app. I use different news applications, but it is quite a nice place to get all your news, your magazines. And I did use it once or twice just to see if it works, and it all works really well over Wi-Fi and 3G. So that is there if you want to use it. But again, a lot of these services are very Samsung specific. So if you're coming from a different device, which I don't think many people are going to have this as their first phone, if it's an Android phone, because I think it's quite a high-end. It's quite a high-end phone. It's a big commitment. I think most people are going to be making the jump from a previous Android phone, especially people who are going to watch reviews like this. And I think that if you're used to not using any of these, you won't find them completely necessary and you won't jump on them. But if you are up for embracing sort of the whole Samsung thing they've got going with keys and syncing it to your PC and things, then that option is available. The only complaints I've had with this is how light it is. It sometimes could feel that little bit more solid. And the other thing is that for some reason sound quality is not the greatest. It's comparable to some other Android phones, but coming from the Galaxy S and trying it against things like the iPhone 4, for some reason the sound doesn't seem to be quite as good. And again, if you're into hacking and you're into rooting your phone, there are ways around this which fix the audio quality, which makes it completely perfect. So it's not a hardware thing, it is a software thing. But if you're going to be one of the people who just buy this, use it, they're not going to play around with it, then that's probably something to bear in mind if you're a sort of big audiophile. It ships with Android 2.3.3, so you're pretty up to date, and Samsung have promised to update this very quickly as new updates like Ice Cream come out and things like that. And although they haven't had a good history, they are making some pretty bold promises. So I would expect that if you buy this with a view to upgrading it in the future, if you're not going to be hacking and rooting it, if you want to upgrade it officially, then I think you should be in quite good hands with Samsung. All that being said, I think this is probably the best smartphone out there at the moment. I think the combination of the brilliant screen, the superb processor, the decent battery life, the really rather nice build, if you're into the sort of thin, square type build, which I actually really like having used it, it's very comfortable. Then I think this beats out things like the Motorola Atrix, the HC Sensation, and the iPhone 4 obviously, because I mean if you're going to look for one of these, you're going to be wanting Android anyway probably. But if you're to pit this against the iPhone 4, I'd say the main kickers were quicker processor, in my opinion a better operating system, it's much more customizable, and things like that. And I think the screen just absolutely blows away the iPhone 4's purely on the size, because using an iPhone 4 screen after this feels really pokey, and I don't think the colours are represented as well on the Retina display, even though it has the higher PPI. Right guys, I hope you find this review useful, and if you want any other tips and things, head over to my channel where I'll have a load more things about this phone. See you next time. Ta-ra.